I'm just kidding.
How's that now?
Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your local experts on all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Listen in as they discuss the current state of the market, the latest trends, and have a little fun while doing it. We do want to say the opinions voiced on this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individuals. All right, everybody, we're back with another week of This Week in Real Estate. Special time and place this week. Coming to you live on your Tuesday morning here from Spread the Positive Studios, where we put the sing in closing. I don't know. Oh, snap. Let's not mute these people.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise Jehovah.
Yeah. Now we're ready.
Yeah.
Let's do a show.
All right. Yes.
This Week in Real Estate.
It's time for our special time.
Special time.
Special
Not
time,
a special
guys.
place. I mean, this place is special.
I mean, it's special, but it's the same place.
It's the same place. But special
time.
day and time.
Yes.
Day and time.
Let's all sit down and gather around the carpet, children, and we'll have some special time.
You may ask, why is this show live right now? It's Tuesday, and it's close to 9 o'clock. It's
Because
not
we know
Wednesday,
that
close
you're
to 10 o'clock.
Because we know that you put it on your calendar every week
And
for Wednesday.
But this week we have special news.
We do?
Yeah, Trent can't be here tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Breaking news. All right. Look at that bald head over there, though. He's especially shiny
How about that
today.
bald head?
Mine's not all that. Mine never shines up like his does.
I don't know.
I don't know
All right.
if that's a good thing.
Yeah. Anyway, bless his heart. Bless his head.
Trent, what's on tap for us first today?
I think we should start with headlines.
That's a great idea.
Go ahead.
Have you ever heard the thing about having a 4 head
Yes.
or an 8 head?
We got a 14
yeah.
head.
I'm a 16 head
Yeah.
because my hairline's back here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same.
Anyway.
Good one.
All right. Headlines. So I sent people that get my weekly email. They got a data overload yesterday. I called it Data Drop Monday.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot. But you kind of have to give a lot in order to get the picture because, when people ask me about, what is going on in the market, what's it like right now, and the answer truly is it's complicated, and it is. There's a lot of different factors, a lot of different things happening. You were listening to something when we came in, and even at the Federal Reserve level and the analyst level right now, it's like, well, we've got this factor, but then if this factor does this, then we've got this, and then if that does that, then that causes it, and the next, you're down a rabbit hole all of a sudden, and so what I sent out, we're trying to get to the end result is the market is still moving. However, it's a little slower than the plethora of real estate agents that exist in the world wish it was. And some of them tell you that the market's dead, and they're wrong.
Did you say the plethora of real estate agents that are left in the world? Is that what you said?
It is not what I said, but at least I didn't mean to say that, but that are in the world. And there's some hungry folks out there, and they want to tell you that the market's dead and all this stuff. And a lot of times folks do that for to kind of set the stage for price reductions on listings, and it's possible that that's a necessity. And we do see finally a little bit of a taper off on some pricing here in Rutherford County. I still think that it's mostly seasonal. I don't think that it's necessarily market driven, and I don't think that we're going to see prices crashing. But we talked about this as the season heated up and we started going up, and we said towards the end of the year it'll level off and fall off a little bit, and we'll still end the year on a net up, and we will. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. What's interesting though is we start looking at supply. So in a bubble, in a classroom setting. As supply goes up, prices go down. Mm-hmm. As demand goes up, prices go up.
It's economics with houses.
100%. Except that they also move in tandem. Nothing happens on its own. So what we've seen is that supply has dropped which should drive prices up. But demand has dropped as well, not quite at the same rate in our area specifically. Now, other parts of the country, this may be totally different, right? But right here, demand has dropped, but not as much. And so what it's really done is it's just flattened prices out, which is what we've been saying. So they'll end a little bit up, right? But so from a supply and demand standpoint, that's why. Supply dropped more than demand did, and therefore the prices are staying pretty stable.
So I'm going to say that again for those who are just that heard it but didn't. It may not have sank in or resonated. Supply dropped further than demand.
Yes.
So even with rates going up, there was still enough demand to keep up with the supply of houses that were coming onto the market.
Yes. And so historically, the way we measure that with those two things in tandem is we measure that with months of supply. Okay. And the generally accepted around the country, I don't know about in other countries, but in our country, generally somewhere around a 7-month supply is considered a flat market.
Okay.
There should be no price movement as a flat market. So what that means is that the current number of homes on the market, if no other homes entered the market at the current demand rate, those houses would be completely sold out in 7 months. Okay, that's what that means. Okay. Right? Now,
some would sell faster. Some would.
That's right.
The dogs of the market would sit there for 6 months.
That's correct, and it has nothing to do with price.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it just says this is how many houses it would take to fill all the demand. For 7 months. Okay. Now, I've said generally accepted at 7 months is flat, is even. Anything less than that is a seller's market. Anything more than that is a buyer's market. Right. Now, I will say that our area, it's probably not normal, and a normal market is probably closer to like 4 months, right? Because we move
pretty quick,
a lot more quickly. Okay.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a few weeks. I think it's 2024, and the idea of taking 7 months to sell a house when you're trying to find something to move into is complicated. It'd be, I think we're more along those lines in this market.
Yeah, so I think we'll see generally accepted practice revise that to more like a 4, maybe 5 month level. Okay. So check this out. August of 2019, actually, let's go September, October, November of 2019. Okay. Our month supply was just, it was like 2 3/4 of a month. Right. So it was just under 3 months and, but above 2.5. Okay. Then somewhere around December of 2020, we dipped below a 1 month supply. Okay. And other than like one little itty bitty hiccup, we stayed below 1 month supply all the way until June of 22.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So less than a month supply. So literally, you could stick your house on the market and the demand was so high that it was gone.
2.5 years.
Yeah. And that's what you see. So the strongest seller's market possible.
Yeah.
Right. So what, and here's all your evidence. Okay.
Yeah.
I had the most I ever had on one listing. I had 32 offers on one listing at a time. At one point.
That's 1.5 years. 1.5 years of inventory under 1 month supply.
Crazy. So then it started to spike in that June, July of 22, right?
Right.
And that mirrors.
Correlates right when the rates started to really start moving.
That's it. And so it hit in, what is that? December of 22, we almost hit 3.5 months of supply.
And it felt like the world had come crashing to a halt.
But stuff was still moving, right? And all during the time when it was under a month supply, I always likened it to not a brick wall, because I would say it's going to slow down and it's going to feel like we hit a brick wall. But it's really more like a moving sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're sprinting down a moving sidewalk, that was us in that, 21 and half of 22. Like just absolutely bolting down a moving sidewalk. Yeah. And if you've ever walked down a moving sidewalk, like you get to the end and you're like,
it feels like
just imagine sprinting down it, and that's where we were. You get to the end of it, it's going to feel like you hit a wall.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah.
Okay. But we were still walking. We were still moving forward. The highest level in the last 5 years, okay, in the last 5 years was in, looks like January of 2023. And we ticked over 4 months supply.
Yeah.
And it was an even market.
Yeah.
Stuff would come on the market. People would make offers. There was negotiation.
There were house inspections.
There were home sale
TA offers that were
contingencies.
getting accepted. It was a beautiful time for home buyers.
Yes.
I
And
told so many people during that time, I said, this might be the best time to buy a house. That
we
you'll
said
see.
it on whatever version of this show we had at that point. Right now, I had Brad Hopkins sit in this room, if I remember correctly, and we both said, this is the time to buy.
Yeah.
Forget your interest rate.
Yeah.
Right? As long as you, and I adopted your philosophy on that. As long as you can make the payment, right now is when you can buy.
You can negotiate.
It is the best time possible.
Can you negotiate now?
Yes.
Okay. What are you seeing being negotiated?
Closing costs are still on the table. Home sale contingencies are there. We can use all of the array of financing.
Yeah.
So it is more even now still. But get this, as far as supply goes, so our demand is picked back up. As far as supply goes, July, we were back to about a 2.5 month supply.
Okay.
And after that big spike over 4 months, we dropped, and it's just kind of puttered along in between 2 and 3 months.
You say in July we hit a 2.5 month supply. In July of
that
this
was
year.
what the supply level was.
July of this year is when I noticed my mortgage applications. Now, this is just anecdotal from Bryan Nale. My loan starts, and a few of the members of my team, their loan starts, which means new applications, was extremely low in July.
So here's what I was going to say. If we broke this line apart, and I did, just so you know, it is not necessarily because of demand.
Yeah. Okay.
So that month supply is actually has to do more with the supply.
Okay.
People just aren't selling their houses.
Yeah.
And the proof is here.
Yeah.
Your applications are down.
Yeah.
Right? Prices are not changing.
Right.
So if demand went up, if demand was strong during that, and that's how we dropped the supply.
Then you would have seen prices.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of us were expecting, was that when rates started to come down, and rates didn't really start coming down in July. They started coming down in August.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see now with rates coming down and application volume starting to come back, and the talk of lower interest rates generating some interest. What's going to happen with this supply and demand curve, and will we see prices start to accelerate again?
Possibly. And here's what that's going to look like. Here's how that plays out. Is that means that demand will go up. Supply will not change,
right?
Because it takes a while. Like, you don't just wake up and go, "Oh, demand's up. Let's sell our house right now." Right? There's a lag time in there. So demand will go up. So if you're on the market during that time, your house is likely to get snatched up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then people will see that, oh, they got multiple offers on that. Oh, that went for what? And we see that, and then we see supply re-enter the market.
Yeah.
And only if that person that holds that supply, if that home seller also sees that they can buy something.
Yeah.
So if they see prices start to spike, right?
Yeah.
They see prices start to spike and interest rates haven't dropped substantially enough, we're still not going to have supply.
Yeah.
It is very interesting to see this play out.
Boy, the next 6 months I think are going to be
Wild.
Yeah. Like, just talk about a hard market to play and predict. And that's, I would say, if we wanted to, I know you've got a pro tip for later, but I'll give you one right now. Buy a house when it's right for you.
That's it.
Like, don't wait on the market. Don't try to time it, because there's so many different outcomes. We all think that rates are going to come lower, but what's that going to do to prices? We don't know. What's that going to do to inventory? Are sellers going to be willing to get off of that fence and go buy their next house, their smaller home if they're downsizing, their bigger home if they're upgrading? And when that happens, you think there'll be supply that comes to the market, but there's just so many unknowns. So if is now a good time to buy a house? I've heard you say this a million times. Is now a good time to buy a house?
Is it for you?
There you go.
I don't know. You tell me.
What's going on with your family? What's going on with
Yeah.
your work, your commute? What's going on with your life? What is, because at the end of the day, we're talking about housing, shelter, like it's a commodity. And it's really about where you, and I believe this, it's where you build your life. It's where you have your memories. It's where you bring your kids home from the hospital. It's where you send your kids off to prom from. You take those pictures coming down the stairs or whatever your house, allows for. It's the pool in the backyard. It's the gazebo, the outdoor kitchen. It's the kitchen where you cook your Thanksgiving meals. It's
Riding the bike the first time. It
is home.
Yeah, dude.
And it's your neighborhood. It's your community. And if you try to time it, you might miss out on what could be your perfect home.
Well, you're going to. Statistically speaking, you're not going to time it.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing: if you stay long enough, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you're buying it as an asset and you're buying it as a commodity, that's a whole other situation.
Right.
It's a whole other conversation.
We're not talking to you real estate investors right now. We're talking to you to your owner occupied, where you're living your life, people.
That's it. And if you want this email, I'll be happy to forward it to you. That was just one. I put 3 different charts on there. That was one of them that we just kind of talked through. There's 2 others. One does look at pricing trends, and I'll tell you that the trend line, if we were to map out the trend line, it's still up.
Yeah.
Right now, we had a little fall off when rates did go up. In that mid 22 time frame, prices dropped a little for about 6 months, 7 months, but they immediately trended back up.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're higher than where they started to fall.
Yeah.
Right. So we're all the way back up.
Yeah.
So you're not going to time a crash.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So unless you're very lucky, and I guess that's possible, but
there's always going to be someone who does, but it's
Sure.
And maybe it's a little bit of intentionality, but a lot of it's luck too, because you just don't know. There's no crystal ball for any of us.
that's it. All right. Well, there you go. There's my headlines.
That's real stuff.
Real deal. Yes, this is real.
Speaking of real,
This is real. This is real. I love the reactions.
How did you get a camera in Belinda Ehrender's living room?
oh,
I'm just kidding. Belinda's husband is a huge hunter. Is gone on some pretty amazing hunting trips.
I need that.
That's not their house.
I need that back up there because I've got to see that again.
I saw an elephant.
Were the heads floating?
I know. It tripped me out too.
I think the heads were floating.
No, it's like
They're on those tusks. They're mounted to those tusks.
That is incredible.
That's incredibly disturbing.
yeah.
And what is this thing? Is that a whale fin?
I hope not. Okay, this is real.
There's a lot of our viewers who are probably triggered from seeing this.
I know. We probably
Yeah.
need to take this down. All right, moving on.
Is it right? I think it's raining outside, or is that the style of glass they have on those windows? I'm trying to look for stuff besides the obvious, zebra print and wild game.
I'd be afraid that I'd be haunted by some kind of
Right?
Yeah.
No, I feel
Oh, you know what this reminds me of?
Jumanji.
No,
sure.
James Earl Jones passed away.
Oh,
He's the voice of Mufasa in The Lion King, and
I
I'm seeing this here and thinking of the African animals on the prairie, and no more James Earl Jones.
I got to be honest with you. I thought he'd already passed away.
I mean, it was one of those that you're like, oh wow, yeah, he's 93.
Good for him.
He got he's one of the, I think, 6 people, who have the EGAT. We've ever heard of the EGAT? Help me out. There's an Emmy, a Grammy, EGOT, an Oscar, and a Tony.
Wow.
And there's something else too. It's an R.
Well deserved too. What a talent.
Yeah.
And I wish he would have been my grandpa sometimes. He was just cool, man.
I'm your father.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Market movers. Back to you.
So, not a lot to say. So what's interesting is Friday, rates improved a little bit, mortgage rates improved a little bit, and but it was the last day that any of the Fed regional presidents could speak. They as of Monday, we're in the 12-day blackout period where they can't release any comments or give any commentary until the Fed open market meeting, which is next week. So
I didn't know they did that. That's
so there's a 12-day blackout period prior to their meeting where they don't talk. They basically, and so
what's the purpose of that?
They want to
not influence
the markets right before their speech. They want to see this data come out and how the markets respond to the data this week, which is interesting because the market last week we had a lot of big reports that came out, but some Fed commentary kind of tempered some movement, and then Friday things moved back in with some commentary that some of the presidents had. We saw rates start to move. This week, it's all about the data. There's no commentary to temper or add fuel to the flames of what the data comes out with. So we'll see the market respond to the data with no other commentary from the Fed this week. And it's a good week for that, too, because consumer price index is coming out tomorrow, and the year-over-year expectation is 3.2%. Month-over-month is 0.2%. And then jobless claims comes on Wednesday. So I'm sorry, Thursday. So I'm used to doing this on Wednesday. Jobless claims comes on Thursday. CPI comes tomorrow. And then also on Thursday, we get producer prices. So
that's a bunch.
It's a bunch of stuff. It's a big week for reports. And I'm going to give me a little grace here. I want to pull this up because to me, it's the revisions, and I might not be able to find it on the fly. I wish I'd written better notes, but the revisions to and we'll talk about this a little bit later.
The jobless.
Yeah, the jobless claims. Boy, they have had some serious revisions downward from what was announced. So
what is that? Is that purposeful? You think? Like, I'm going full conspiracy theory here.
It's
right?
Wild. It's wild, isn't it? You'll see a report that'll come out. And
is it consistently revised?
It's consistently revised. It's always going to be revised, but it's the last two reports that have come out. The revisions were really, really big revisions downward, which leads to a lot of speculation that
they're influenced.
Well, that the economy is not as strong as the jobless claims have indicated.
Because it's sort of like printing something bad about somebody in the newspaper, and then printing a retraction on page 28. 3 weeks later,
the headline that sold
nobody
the
catches the retraction.
Yeah. The headline that sold the data has been revised, and that could lead you to think that maybe. And I've been in the 25 basis point cut camp for the last couple of weeks because of the claims that were coming out. But then you see these revisions, and you're like, well, man, like maybe the economy is not as strong as we think.
Well,
so maybe the Fed will lean in to a bigger cut to start things off.
And I'll tell you, from an anecdote standpoint, my wife is in a staffing industry.
Right.
She's involved in that industry, and in general, staffing functions as a leading indicator.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So if a producer hires more temps in, that they're predicting that a stronger economy is going to happen. And here's the thing: you multiply that times the entire industrial world, and all of a sudden it fulfills itself, right? Like self-fulfilling prophecy type thing. Well, in general, staffing industry is down right now.
Yeah.
And it's like people are pumping the brakes and they're hesitating and they're waiting. Some of that is probably tied to the election cycle. It always is.
Sure.
Right. But it started really before the election cycle should have taken
Remember
hold.
hearing her talking about this in early this year, like as early as February, maybe March.
Yeah,
she was talking about that.
And so if all the producers are scaling back on their temporary work, on their temporary help, and it doesn't fit these robust, like rosy jobless claims. Like I said that the first time that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That just doesn't
jive with
it doesn't make sense.
And eventually, and then you see those revisions, you're like, yeah, that makes more sense.
Huh. I'm not saying that it's manipulated.
Something about an invisible hand here, right?
Yeah. It's suddenly becoming a little bit less, more opaque.
You can kind of see the shadow of it.
It's interesting, right? All right. Well, so no commentary from the Fed.
No commentary from the Fed this week until we won't hear from them until they release their minutes and make their rate decision next week.
So we get to chew on the information as it comes out.
That's right.
That's great. Okay. What's next? Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's talk about a listing. So I've got one in. It is a fantastic house, and if it hasn't gotten quite the attention that I think it deserves. So this is on Governor Court. It is over in Seven Oaks. So it is like, I don't know, 4 minutes from I-24, right there at Almaville Road. Great condition home, has been very well loved and maintained. Got some really cool features that they've done to it. So first thing on this front here, you can see to the left, they've added a bunch of concrete. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I was gonna say what that picture didn't show is that it is a lot of concrete that includes a fairly long covered carport area. You could easily put 2 cars on that carport, and there's a side entrance to the house there as well. Okay. So you've got 2-car garage and a 2-car carport. It's got really durable floors. The laminate floors, they look pretty cool. Some barn door touches, stuff like that.
I like how you can close off the stairs.
Yeah, I do too.
That's neat.
And
I
the reason
don't see that a lot.
No, you don't. And the reason for that is at the top of those stairs, there's a very large open space. Okay. And so it was the kids, like playroom, bonus room. So I'm certain that sound just kind of like
funnels into the living room.
Yeah, exactly. So
trying to watch a game, watch a movie, you got kids upstairs playing.
Yep.
Or just hold conversation and all that yelling and screaming from the kids because they are loud.
Kids are loud. Yes. True.
That's
story.
Awesome. Very nice touch.
Yep. It's cool. Great floor plan. It feels very open. We'll go to the next pictures. But yet you have defined usable spaces. Go to the next one there, Trent.
Find the mouse.
I found it. There it is. You missed. So go down the hall, and you got a powder room there.
Okay.
Keep going. Big kitchen. It is a vinyl tile that's in there. It's pretty nice. Beautiful butcher block countertop right there. And then that's where the sink is. The other countertop is like a marble look. Keep going. So huge dining space right there with a fireplace. Yeah, I mean, the flow of this place is awesome. They entertained a lot. They had a lot of folks over from different groups of folks. And there was always like groups of people gathered in those spaces.
You can tell they've done some nice things to this house, upgrades from when it was built. Look at the end cabinet and that cap with the glass cabinet door on there. That's a nice little detail.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they've done a good job with this place. Big old pantry. You can see through there. That goes out into the garage as well. Okay, keep going. And that's where the laundry is. Wood burning fireplace. That's the door, by the way, that goes out onto the carport.
To the side. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Master is on the main just off of this space as well. You can kind of see it there in the corner. Laundry room. There's the master. Big space there. The closet, they've done a lot to the closet as far as like shelving and storage and things like that. You can see the shoe rack there. Nice. Big shower and double vanity and big old jetted tub. Ooh. And here's the thing on that jetted tub is a lot of times folks don't use them, and so they get nasty in there. They get moldy and whatnot. Yeah. This one was used and cleaned and sanitized regularly, so you don't have the moldy grossness in there.
I remember when we bought our house, I put Audrey in the bathtub, and she was taking a bath, and maybe it was Anderson. Audrey was little. And I was like, watch this. And I turned the jets on, and this black stuff started coming out. I was like, oh, get him out of the tub.
Gross.
Get him out.
So here's that big space up there. This picture's a little funny. It's a large area up at the top. And you could easily have, these are kids' rooms or secondary rooms. That upstairs space, you could easily have a built-in fire pit. That's over cool. There.
Oh, cool.
And then a huge backyard that's mostly fenced.
Nice.
Yep. In a cul-de-sac, super convenient.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
Great location. And we just haven't had the traffic in there. And I know it's market wide. I didn't get to this about number of showings and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, folks, you're missing out. This place is great. So, and we're under 500 on this. We dropped to under 500, and we're still willing to look at reasonable offers.
Absolutely. Nice listen.
Yeah, it's a good one. And we've got open house there.
Yeah, we do.
2 of them this weekend.
Saturday
with Trent and Sunday with John Michael.
Yes, sir.
So, be good stuff. All right.
Buddy.
All right, I think we're ready for pro tip.
Shiny penny.
Shiny penny.
Johnny.
There you go. Back on you.
All right, this is professional. So this goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, but I was watching CNBC this morning, and shiny penny is, we talked about this a lot. Can we navigate the soft landing? And Roger Altman is a very respected financial guru, and he was on CNBC, and he's saying, hey, profit outlooks look good. Open market rates are falling nicely. Looking for 75 to 100 basis points cuts by the end of the year. That's his projection. Downward,
End of this year?
End of this year.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah, so the question is 25 or 50 for the start, but then, a couple of more significant cuts. And he's thinking it's going to be 325 basis cuts before the end of the year.
This year.
Yeah,
It's September.
September. Yeah. So
Wow.
bang, bang,
Okay.
bang, is what he's thinking is going to happen. So 75 to 100. If you get 3 quarter-point cuts in a row, that's going to see what that does. But another thing he said is growth is. We talked about this a little bit earlier. It's slowing, but it's not going negative. We're still growing. It's just growing at a slower pace.
Which is good, y'all.
That is the soft landing.
Yeah.
That is it. So
And it's sustainable if they'll navigate it right.
And I had somebody ask me, she said, how low do you think rates are going to go? And I was like, well, I hope they don't go too low too fast. I hope we kind of flatten out and kind of ride and
I would love them
the
to
range
just
that we're at and just give
sit at 5.5 and call it good.
give us some predictability and some and that way rational people can do rational things if they know if they know what to expect.
That's it.
So happy to hear Roger Altman saying that he thinks that the Fed's probably pretty happy with where things are right now and the tools that they have to work with.
Cool. I've got one shiny penny as well. It's a little closer to home. We've got a space available here at Cedar Glade. So if you're not familiar with our facility, we've got a brewery and a tap room on one end of the building. We've got this little section in the middle where Trent has his studio where we're sitting currently. And then at the front of the building, we've got a retail space. So it is zone industrial, but it's essentially a retail space. Yeah. Big glass windows, one little separate office, attic storage space. It's nice. So we've got that available. Rent is $1,700 a month is what we're asking. And that includes everything. That includes internet, water, electric,
utilities,
bathroom, common space, trash, all of that.
Nice.
So if that's something you're interested in and you'd like to be a good neighbor to us, a good neighbor, that's the key there. We will screen you out. But anyway, if you're interested, give me a shout.
Nice. Pro tip.
Gracious.
Very
like trying to make us all professional and
I
stuff.
know.
Jeez Louise. And we fight you at every turn.
No, there you go.
Okay, here we go. My pro tip's really simple, and that is be patient. Exercise patience, work on patience a little bit, and just listen, process, and take your time.
Yeah.
You said when rational people make rational decisions.
Yeah.
You get in a hurry, you don't always make rational decisions. So take your time, take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay.
I tell my kids about the mood elevator and Delaney concept. I love it. If you're high on the mood elevator, you're feeling things like wisdom, euphoria, happiness. If you're middle ground, you may be a little uncertainty, a little hesitation, a little anxious. If you're low on the mood elevator, you're upset, you're scared, you're angry. Where do you think you make your best decisions?
100%. It's at the top.
Right. So, but do you think it's reasonable to expect to always be at the top?
No.
You're going to move up and down those floors. Be aware of it. and be aware of the decisions you make and the words that you speak when you're on those lower floors.
And I mean, I know a lot of people that have camped out and they live their lives at the bottom floor there.
It's not a fun place, man.
And man, if I can help you with that, I don't care if it's real estate or not. If I can help you with that, let me help you, because that sucks down there.
Yeah.
If that's where you live, it's awful.
Right.
Yeah. So that's it. Just be patient. Be patient. Gather information. Educate yourself. Make wise decisions.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good show, guys. We did it. We'll see y'all next time.
Have a good one. We need more people for...
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your go-to resource for all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see y'all on the next one.
Now for the nitty-gritty. Primis Mortgage Company is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC. Primis Mortgage NMLS number 1894879, BK number 1042893, ML number 1894879. As always, all loans are subject to credit approval and product guidelines. Equal housing lender.